education? Is a college degree the only type of education there is? Is education something that has to be measurable or acknowledged with a certificate of completion? And these are questions that I ask all of you guys in here, because I already have my views on what education is. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, greetings. My goal tonight is to convince you that education is more than a college degree. And it doesn't have to be measurable, and it does not have to be acknowledged with a certificate of completion. The way that I plan to convince you that education is more than a college degree is by first explaining what my title of the speech means, providing the personal experience of using an education that did not involve my college degree, and finally being able to provide some examples on how education outside of college can be beneficial to your life. The title of the speech again was 4-year college degree, 8 hours of education. We all know that a college degree is proof that you have done your research and that you're knowledgeable in a specific field. And in turn, you're able to provide a service to your employer for 8 hours a day in exchange for wages and experience. We all know there's 24 hours in a day. 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep. There's still 8 hours left. So if you're one of those cool guys that says, all I need is my college degree to be successful in life, well then you just admitted that 33% of your day you're uneducated. So, and that's why I say that education is more than a college degree, which brings me to my personal experience. A few weeks ago, I decided I wanted to buy a car for my birthday. But before that, I took the time to educate myself on what it took to lease a car. What it took to lease a car, all the ins and outs of leasing the car, what it took to put the lease together, and how to determine if the lease I was getting was a good deal. So I'm going to take you guys back to November 26th, which was my birthday. It was the day that we went down to the car dealership. And I'm going to make the story as short as possible because it would take the speech itself to fully explain it. So we get to the dealership. I tell the guy I want the Honda Civic charcoal gray with the black leather interior. He goes, oh, so we have the car you want, and you test drive it, you like it, you're going to leave the car, right? I said, if all the other factors add up, we can move forward. So we go on to the little offices. It says that it's his office, but there's nothing in there that resembles being his office. So he brings in a leasing guy. And the first thing the leasing guy asked me is, what do you want to pay a month? And I said, let's not focus on first what I want to pay a month. Let's focus on what the residual value of the car will be after the lease is over, which is a percentage of how much the car is worth at the end of the lease. And I also wanted to negotiate the price of the car that I would be buying. He goes, I can't negotiate the price with you, but let's go ahead and run your credit. I said, we're not going to run my credit yet. How are we going to run my credit if I'm not comfortable moving forward with the deal? He says, well, in order to negotiate the price, I have to run a boss in. We'll bring him on in. So long story short, the boss comes on in, and I tell the boss the price I wanted to pay, and I explained to him why I wanted to pay that price. And he provided me with the residual value, which is something that I wanted to know. And once I received that information, I allowed them to run my credit. And when they came back, they ran my credit, and then I asked them, what's my money factor? He goes, what do you need to know your money factor for? I said, well, first off, the money factor is basically the interest that's used when you're leasing a car. So instead of, like an APR when you're buying the car, I'm leasing it, so what is important is the money factor. And that's something that they weren't even going to advertise me, but it was something that I knew, something that I had educated myself on. And when I found out the information, everything worked out for me, and I was able to put a price per month together for myself. But long story short, I didn't leave with the car because they did not have the car I wanted. With the black leather inside, they said that's uncommon in Sacramento, and with the 2014 models coming out, they weren't going to be able to find it anywhere. So I didn't leave with the car. They tried selling me another car, but I didn't want it. I said, if it's not the car I want, I don't want a car at all. Long story short, no car. And everything happens for a reason. And the positive of this story is I had gained knowledge, education in buying the car, or in this case, leasing it. And I know that as long as I'm in the business to buy a car, this education will always be beneficial to me. Education being beneficial outside of college is something that is very important. And it's really up to you to decide which things you decide to become educated about. So let's take a few examples of things that you can get educated about. Health education. In my last speech, I talked about how bad diets have caused strokes in my family. And what about your overall well-being? You have that shoulder ache, that backache, your knees are aching. Your doctors are just quick to provide you with ibuprofen and say, hey, I'll go away in a few weeks. But I don't want no drugs. I want to know what's causing this issue. Provide me a solution. So since most doctors don't do that, I take the time to go gain my own knowledge and understand why this ailment is affecting me and how to prevent it from affecting me again. And another thing that I'm pretty sure we all have in common is that we care about our money, financial education. We're all told to balance a checkbook, but balancing a checkbook is not financial education as far as I'm concerned. Financial education is understanding which investments are good for you in your portfolio and how to make your money work for you, and not being forced to go get a financial advisor to tell you what you should do to prepare yourself for retirement, because those are people that are pushing you away and saying, hey, I'll handle this for you. You don't need to go get the education on how to handle your money. I'll make decisions on how you should live the rest of your life. But if you take the time to gain that education, you can make the decisions and mitigate those risks with that education. So these are just a few examples on how education outside of college can be beneficial to your life. To wrap this speech up, I can say that I believe I provided you guys with enough information to convince you that education is more than a college degree. By providing you with what I meant by 4-year college degree, 8 hours of education, and being uneducated 33% of the time, and providing my own personal experience going to buy the car. I didn't leave with the car, but I still have that education. I can go buy a car anytime and still use that knowledge. And being able to provide you guys with examples on how education can be beneficial to you outside of